I have been bullet journaling for more than 3 years now, and I've found it incredibly helpful for staying organized, staying on top of your tasks, and being as productive as possible. I've also received quite a few questions from friends on how to set this up and how to do this, so that's exactly what I'm going to be showing you in this video. Just a quick disclaimer is that I'm going to be showing you my template, which is very minimalistic. You can go even simpler than I'm doing, or you can make it more advanced than I'm doing, but I'm going to show you the spreads that I'm using, how I set this up for the new year as 2024 is quickly approaching, and also give some tips and pointers on what types of spreads you can have in your bullet journal to make it as optimal as possible. Let's hop right into it.
Bullet journaling in and of itself is relatively simple. You don't need a lot of stuff. It's good enough with one simple journal and a pen, but what I use is this bullet journal from Linktr it's called, and then these micron pens. I usually have one color that's different than a couple of black ones, a nice ruler, and then one nice highlighter that you can use in the bullet journal. I have been bullet journaling for 3 years, and in this video we're going to be showing you how to set up a new bullet journal, but we're also going to be referring to the bullet journal that I used back in 2022. Like I said before, this really doesn't need to be complicated at all, but if you do have $25 to spare, getting yourself one of these dotted bullet journals from Linktr is going to be such a huge help. It comes with a lot of nice accessories, such as a little book with instructions on how to do it. It comes with measured paper so that you can be sure to use the right measurements when you're setting up your spreads. It also comes with a couple of stickers that you can use for your various layouts. And it also comes with this really nice high quality paper that's super easy to write on with these micron pens. I primarily use bullet journaling as a productivity tool, and that's why this is going to be more geared towards productivity, but also if you're doing this for mindfulness or other purposes, this will work as well. You'll just have to change the spreads up a little bit. In order to stick to this throughout the year, I typically write all of these intentions down at the beginning of the journal, just the stuff that I want to journal for, what I want to write down, the couple of things that I want to keep in the journal, as well as some of my more overarching goals for that year. We're then going to flip over to the next set of pages and begin taking a look at the year at a glance. The year at a glance is simply like a calendar where you split the page into 3, with one split being 1 month, meaning that for a whole split you will have half a year, and then on the next split you will have the second half of the year. It's important to measure this up so that this looks symmetrical at the end, but this is not also just because it looks good, but also because this will allow you to fit all of the dates in later on. It takes a little bit of time to write out all of the dates here, but it does give a nice overview when you want to look at, for example, in November of 2024, what date is a Monday, for example. This spread you can then use as a more general calendar in order to see what's happening on specific important days of the month and the year. So for example, I use it to mark down birthdays, going on holidays, days that need to be away, or just general big assignments and stuff like that. After this year at a glance page, we're going to get over to the next part, which is the long-term goals. I'm not going to be sharing all of my long-term goals here just because of private reasons, but this is where you're going to be jotting down things which are going to happen in the next 1 to 5 years. So not the things that you're going to be doing in 2024 necessarily, but the things that are going to be happening all the way until 2030. This can be relatively general or it can be specific, but this is good for me at least to keep in the front of the journal in order to remind myself, what am I working towards, what am I doing, why am I writing all down these things that I need to do, and kind of, getting a general sense of direction. On the page next to this, I write short-term goals. So goals that are going to be specific for the year that I'm journaling for, which in this case is 2024. These should be adhering to SMART goal principles, so goals which are specific, measurable, attainable, and time-bound. So things that will be very concrete and you'll know for sure at the end of the year if you've achieved this or not. I'm not going to share the specific setup for the long or short-term goals because they're relatively private, but as you can imagine, you probably just write down a list of what you want to do. This can be 7 to 15 different things for the long-term goals and a little bit fewer for the short-term goals, but they can be more general for the longer term and more specific for the shorter term. But after this, we're going to be moving on to principles. So this is where I like to outline things which I want to adhere to throughout the year. So again, I keep this at the front of the journal just so I can refer back to it throughout the year, kind of looking at what did I say that I wanted to be like and what did I say that I wanted to do at the start of the year, and just check myself, making sure that I adhere to that throughout the year, just because that's a good way of checking yourself, but also because it's a nice touch to have at the front of the journal before you get to all of the actual reflecting and planning. After this principles section, I add a quotes page where I'll just be able to add some nice quotes that I hear throughout the year that I find inspiring, motivational, whatever. I just keep that here so I can add and refer to this throughout, and also that it's easy to find later on when I may need it. After this, we're actually flipping all the way back to the journal, so to the page that's not the last but the second to last, where I'll be adding a quick reading list. Here in the last page, or the last couple of pages, I like to add a few things such as YouTube video ideas, maybe app ideas, business plans, whatever. But reading list is one of those things that I want to add to this last part of the page, so I can refer back to this throughout the year and also check off what I've read, maybe add some quick thoughts and summaries, etc. After this, we're actually getting back to the actual month planning, so we're moving back to the front of the journal again. And here you just started the month where you're starting journaling, which is in my case January. So I'll start off by specifying that this is January, and then I will go about adding 3 sections to this front start of the spread. So first of all, there's the brain dump. The brain dump is a section where you can just do, as the name suggests, dump whatever you have in your brain. So it can be general thoughts, it can be ideas, it can be inspiring things that you've heard, it can in some cases even be to-dos, but it's for you a place for you to jot down whatever you may think and feel. And it's a pretty nice thing to have because it just gives you the opportunity to write yourself off every month, and then you can actually refer back to this throughout the year, which is quite interesting. Then after that, on the next page, there's 2 sections. So there's the lessons page and then there's the goals page. But you just split the page in 2 and you write lessons on 1 and goals on 1. Lessons you reflect back at the end of the month. So after January have passed, I will go back and I will write, what did I learn in January? What did I hear? Did I meet anyone inspiring? Is there anything worth remembering and taking with me from this month? And in the goals, I will write that at the start of the month, saying that for this month, this is what I want to achieve. This can again be very tangible things, but it can also be more general things, such as I want to speak to more strangers, I want to be more open-minded towards new ideas, whatever that may be. But it's just general guidelines for how you want yourself to behave during that part of the month. Here's a quick look of how I did it last year. As you can see, I had a couple of different things for January. I moved on, I had a couple of fewer things for February, and then I just did this throughout the year so that I could keep track of all of my different learnings, goals, and whatever I had on my mind at that particular moment in time. Then for each month, after this general overview, month at a glance, we will flip over and we will put a habits tracker. A habits tracker is something which, as the name suggests, helps you keep track of your habits. So the way I do it is that I split the page into 2, and then I write all of the different days of the week, so Monday through Sunday, and then I add the date for each particular day. So in January 2024, we're starting on the Monday, so the January 1st is a Monday, and then I'll just follow that throughout the rest of the month. And I will add one of these little sections per habit that I want to track, and this will differ throughout the year. So sometimes it's cardio, sometimes it's eating above a certain number of calories, sometimes it's above a certain amount of sleep. You get the idea. And then if you manage to do this on that particular day, you will circle it, and if you manage to not do it, then you'll put a cross over this, and this allows you to get a nice overview of each and every one of these habits throughout the month. After this, we're going to continue with the monthly habits, and we're going to do this by splitting the other page in 2. So here I like to track hours for a particular thing. So right now for January, I'm going to do hours worked just to make sure that I'm starting the year off right, and I'm also going to track how many hours I sleep per day. So what this is just a simple chart that becomes a dot chart that for each day you just tick, did I sleep 8 hours, did I sleep 5 hours, did I sleep 10 hours, whatever. And then over the month you will get a pretty solid view if you're sleeping well, if you're working well, etc. This can be anything. This can be hours tracked, this can be yes or no, this can be a mood tracker, this can be whatever you feel like. I just prefer to do it this way, and this is also something which will shift throughout the year. Here's a quick overview of what this looked like for me last year. As you can see, it becomes a pretty nice overview of how you've done throughout the month with your habits, whatever that may be. After this, we're moving on to the more everyday journaling, and here we do the same thing as we did for the year at a glance, but we do it a week at a glance. So I'm going to split this page into 6, and then for the weekend I'm going to split that into 7, so that we have 6 different columns, with the last column being shared. And then we're going to put each day and each date for this on the page, and then we're going to be tracking of the things that we need to do for that particular day. In this journal, there's a little key for the different things that you can use to signify different things. So for example, a little dot means that it's a task, a star means that it's a priority, a line means that it's a note, and then you can also migrate this between days. So a little arrow means that you're doing it next day, a little arrow to the other side means that you've already done it, crossing it over means that it's been erased, and crossing over the little dot that you made means that it's done. This will then allow you to keep track of all the things which you need to do on every single day, and also make sure that things don't go lost. This everyday section is what will be the bulk of your journal, so everything which you need to do for that particular day, which will then transfer into what you need to do for that month, which will then transfer into hitting your overall targets for the year. So that's the basic setup. You start with a year at glance, you move over to a month at glance, and then you move over to the week at glance.
That is that for this video. I hope you like this type of content, and if you do, and if you want to see more of this, then leave a comment down below. Remember that this is a bullet journal, it's a blank canvas, you can adapt this however you want to fit your needs, but I've found that this method that I have used and showed you in this video is a very good way of setting it up for productivity. If you have any other thoughts, any comments, any other ways of doing it, then let me know down below, and I will see you in the next one. Peace!